Short story. The Runaway Bride.
The night was calm, but her heart was beating like a storm. Farida was wearing her white wedding dress, but she felt that it was an art of joy. The businessman she was forced to bypass was cruel and heartless, and it was his philosophy that doomed her life to loss. At the moment when everyone expected her to enter the hall, she fulfilled every need and ran through the dark streets. She was running away from a terrible fate, but fate prepared a second need for her. Suddenly, a bright light hit her eyes, and the sound of car brakes screamed in her ears. Then, the world went black. When she opened up about it, she was sleeping in a warm place, and the smell of oud and men's perfume softened the atmosphere. She tried to move, but her head was trembling, as if she was absent from the world. Omar said. I heard the voice of a quiet but controlling man. Finally over me. She looked at him with Tyan's eyes. His features were sharp and manly, but there was some kind of strange tenderness in them. It was clear that he was an important person. Who am I? I asked in a weak voice. His eyebrow rose, and he sat down on the chair next to her. I was thrown on the street. I spoiled you. When you called the doctor, he said that you were experiencing temporary memory loss. She was silent, trying to think of something, but her mind was a blank page. Who are you? He smiled sarcastically. Adam. This is my villa. The days passed and she was in his house. Despite his apparent coldness, he was taking care of her in an amazing way, organizing her medication schedules, bringing her food, and leaving her space to recover. There was something strange in his eyes, as if he saw someone in her, not just someone he found on the street. One quiet night, while she was standing on the balcony, she saw him standing far away, looking at her with incomprehensible looks. When he noticed that she saw him, he approached with calm steps and said in his deep voice. Are you afraid of the past that you don't remember? I don't even know if I have a past or not. He came closer and said firmly. No matter what you ran away from, I'm here. And I won't let anyone hurt you again. His words entered her heart like a promise, but there was something deeper. As if fate had thrown her into the arms of the right person, after she ran away from the wrong person. Days passed and Farida was still in Adam's house, every day discovering new things about him and about herself. She was trying to remember her life before the accident, but her mind was failing her. On the other hand, her heart was holding on to the moments she spent with Adam. Despite his apparent coldness, his concern for her was clear. He would wake up before her, prepare breakfast for her, and make sure she took her medicine. And when she felt dizzy or in pain, he was the first one to support her. One day, while she was sitting in the garden, she saw him returning from afar, wearing an elegant suit, and the aura around him was imposing control without words. She smiled without realizing it, but she got nervous when he stood in front of her and asked calmly, Are you happy here? She raised her eyes to him, and in a weak voice replied, Yes. But there is still something missing. I feel like a part of me is missing. He took a deep breath, as if he was fighting something inside him, and then said, When you think, you will know if you want to stay here or not. There was something strange in his tone of voice, something that scared her, as if the idea of her leaving could hurt him. Without thinking, she reached out and touched his hand lightly. And you? Do you want me to stay here? He looked at her for a long time before replying in a low voice but full of feeling. I want you. but I will not force you. That night, while she was sleeping, she dreamt of strange things. A white dress, a man with harsh features, a voice screaming, "You are mine, and you will remain mine." She gasped as she stood up in panic, her tears falling without her understanding why. Adam entered quickly, and as soon as he saw her tears, he sat next to her and stroked her hair with rare tenderness from him. "What's wrong? Did you dream about something?" She shook her head trying to comprehend. "Something scary. But I don't remember clearly." He pulled her closer and whispered, "No matter what you ran away from, I'm here. And I'll never leave you." In the days that followed, Adam became closer, although he was trying to hide his feelings, but she could sense them. He looked at her in a different way, and when she laughed, he looked as if he saw something more precious than anything in his life. One day, while she was standing in front of the mirror, she caught a glimpse of herself, and felt something familiar. She touched her hair, looked into her eyes, and suddenly, fragmented memories began to attack her. I was a bride. I was running away. Adam was standing at the door, his eyes narrowed cautiously. He approached her and asked in a calm but tense voice, "Do you remember?" She looked at him, still in shock. "I was running away from a marriage. To a man named Shaker." Adam's eyes darkened with anger. He knew who Shaker El-Gabali was, a merciless man, and he knew at that moment that he would not allow him to take her again. He held her hands and looked at her deeply. "Farida. I won't let anyone get close to you, understand?" There was something in his manner, in his voice, in his eyes, that made her heart beat fast. For the first time since she woke up, she was sure of one thing. The only place she wanted to be, was here, with him. Farida was sitting in her room, her mind working at its maximum capacity. Now she knew why she had been feeling scared all this time, why she had missed the security she had found with Adam. She remembered everything. Her engagement to Shaker, his tyranny, his harsh treatment, and how her father had forced her into this marriage just for the sake of interest. But amidst the memories, one thing was clearer than anything else. She didn't want to go back, and she didn't want to leave Adam. Adam was standing in his office, his eyes fixed on the mobile, and on the screen the name Shaker El-Gabali was repeated for the 10th time. He locked the screen tightly, feeling a strange anger inside him. He wasn't going to let Shaker reach Farida. He wasn't going to let her even think about returning to him. Suddenly, she heard the sound of footsteps behind her.
To be continued.